So as a 38-year-old and a child of a 2-year-old and a husband, I realized one thing as I got older. The noisier an environment is, the worse I feel at the place. So a perfect example is I was at obviously a 1-year-old birthday party last weekend. And at this 1-year-old birthday party, it's an Indian 1-year-old birthday party. So what that means is there's a huge loud system for no reason. For no apparent reason. So at this loud system is blasting like no other Indian music. 10 minutes into it, I was like, "Babe, we gotta leave. I can't stand this." And she's like, "Just wait until I cut the cake." 2 hours later, the car ride home, all I was doing is complaining about how I did not want to be there and how my head hurts. So, how does this make sense into what we're going to talk about today? So if you're not familiar with Jabra, Jabra is owned by a parent company called GN. If you've never heard of GN, GN actually means Great Nordic. Why is it Great Nordic? Because we're headquartered in Denmark. Originally, we were called the Great Northern Telegraph Company, founded in 1869. So we have some history in audio. And you can fact check me on this, but I think Denmark has the most audiologists by square capita. It's not real. I just figured it'd be a good fact to say. Uh, so today we're going to go over a couple of things. Why does sound in the workplace matter? Now, this is one of those things where I was asked to present on this, but actually the higher ups in my company talk about this, and I usually don't. But I like reading thought leadership decks, so that's what I figured. Let me use these thought leadership because I am a thought leader now, right? So the idea behind that is three things. Noise and sound impact our work and more than you even know. So one, noise impacts your personal well-being at work. Two, it impacts your meeting experience. So how many of y'all take Teams calls, Zoom calls, Google Meet calls just about daily, right? Cool. And three, noise impacts your productivity. Personal story, I have a 2-year-old daughter, obviously. So when she starts crying, I can't do anything, right? For some reason, 2-year-olds have this very specific cry that goes so deep into your brain and neural system that you just want to kick the daughter out of the room, but then you realize it's your own daughter and you can't do that and you have to love and nourish her. But either way, productivity is something that we all aspire for, right? That's what we get paid for. We get paid for to be productive. So one of the things in the study, and the study meaning Jabra as a company, does hybrid work studies yearly, and we've been doing it since 2021. So this recent study that we did, recent I guess is 2025. 2024 we did a study where we asked 2,000 knowledge workers in North America, Germany, France, and England a bunch of questions about how noise is a stress factor for them. 74% of them said a loud environment makes me mentally tired. So just out of curiosity, how many people gets mentally tired in a loud work environment? Yeah. Do you all have 2-year-olds? All right, never mind. A loud environment makes me physically tired. So back to my original conversation when I was in the car, I was like, babe, I'm done. I'm done for the day. I'm not productive. I'm going to go home. I'm going to put Netflix on. Don't expect me to do anything because that noise in that party just absolutely killed me. And 47% said noise not allowing me to focus stresses me out. That's right. The noise stresses y'all out. And you didn't even know that, did you? Well, now you do. It's scientifically proven through that research. So you've been at a conference all day in remote work, and everyone else has been talking about how to help you with your workload, how to help you with your pure communication, how to help you in terms of figuring out those two stress factors. Now I'm here to help you to figure out the last stress factor based on that survey, which is noise is not allowing me to focus. Now, what are the three noises that don't allow you to focus? One is poor audio quality. How many of y'all been on a call where the other person is somewhere, you're like, what are you saying? I have no idea what you said. Actually, can we call back later because this is pointless. The second one is slamming doors or drawers. So this is actually done with a survey with people that go into the office. So I don't know why they thought, do a lot of people slam drawers in the office? No, I don't know, but that was one of the things. And the third one is construction work, so based on where you live. Now, even though these noises are predominantly for people that work in the office a lot, either in hybrid work, there are some noises at home that bother you, right? One is my wife. Let's not talk about her too much, but for some reason, my wife thinks because I work from home, I can get other work stuff done during the day. That's one. 2 is noises outside. 3 is if I decide to work at a cafe, if I decide to work from the airport, if I decide to work at a WeWork. There's noises that I have no control over. So those are the most stressing noises. And when noise goes up, your productivity and your employees' well-being goes down. So noise in itself allows you to not focus. So doesn't it make sense for a company to help your workers to reduce the noise so they can be more productive? You are paying them, right? So might as well get the most out of them. And the impact of poor audio quality says it impacts their well-being and it increases their stress. So poor audio quality in this fashion just relates to how do you sound on a Teams call, or how do you sound on a Zoom call or a Google Meet call. And 3, it's difficult to be productive. How many of y'all have worked at home or worked from a cafe or worked at an airport, 10 minutes in, because of all the noise, you're using so much cognitive brain to keep the noise out, you're like, I'll do this later, right? You just kind of shut the laptop down. You say, I'll do this later when I'm in a quiet sense. And then poor audio quality during meetings isn't good either, because that impacts their well-being and increases stress. Now, fun fact, I was listening to NPR on my drive home one day, and there was a very interesting research study that they did. They said that if you have poor audio quality, the person on the other end will see you as less professional, right? So if you're on a call and someone is garbled, someone can't hear you properly, that person will now think, Joanne or Tim, I actually don't want to talk to Joanne or Tim anymore, because every time I get on a call with him, I have no idea what he's saying. So I'm going to deal with his coworker. So the idea is poor audio quality isn't just bad for your well-being, it's bad for your professionalism, right? So the idea is, how do you get around that? So your audio quality can impact the way people view you. So if you're looking for a new job, also in that same study, an HR personnel will also judge you based on how well you sound. So when you're on a Zoom call or a Teams call or a Google Meet call, you always have that video feedback. Girl, I look good today. My skin is popping. My hair is flowing, right? I look perfect. And then you get on the call and you sound like a robot, or you sound like you're in a bathroom, or you sound terrible. So now all your professionalism just went out the window, and all the time you spent looking good just went out the window because you sound bad. So that's the idea behind the fact that your audio quality can definitely impact the way people view you as an individual, whether you're working remotely or in the office. So, what can companies do about the noise? Let's talk about that a little. That's not my daughter or my wife. Just want to clear that out there. So what can companies do about the noise? Companies can do plenty of things about the noise. And one of the things that everyone has talked about in these sessions is, one, create an environment that allows an individual to reduce the noise. So for example, before joining Jabra, I used to work at Accenture. At Accenture, I was part of the digital intelligent workplace team, and part of that workplace team is we would help our clients figure out how to reduce noise and how to impact their well-being. And one of the ideas that we came up with and we kind of pushed a lot was having different levels for different people's in noise, because there's always a chatty Cathy that comes in and says, hey, what's going on, Sharath? How was your weekend? And then there's people like Quiet Tim, where he's like, I just want to go into the office, I want to focus, and I want to go home. So one of the ways is creating different levels around what you could do. So when it comes to that, acknowledging employees' different sound environment needs matters, right? So is this a subject that anyone here thinks about? Cool. All right, that's good. You're already ahead of the game here. So how do you acknowledge these employees' different sound environments and their needs? First, you figure out, what do these knowledge workers need? Are you fully remote? Cool. When you're fully remote, are you providing them instances or providing them instructions on how to make their home office more viable for them to sound better on the far end? And how do you do that? You can tell them to say, hey, make sure you have a room. You can use noise canceling panels on the wall. You can use different functionalities, like Microsoft Teams has a voice isolation mode, or Zoom has a voice isolation mode. These are all things that you could do to help your employees and acknowledge the different sound environments that they need. And knowledge workers, they have the answers. So based on the survey, knowledge workers said that noise canceling headphones as standard office equipment help them with reducing stress and enable them to have more well-being where they come from. Allowing employees to work from home. Because I'll tell you, I hated going in the office every now and then because I sat in a cubicle, and for some reason they put me next to the loudest people ever. And I never had a choice to move my cubicle. But now, at least, when I go somewhere, I have a choice to sit where I can actually sit down. And then specific areas for different types of audio activities. So what that means is earlier, I mentioned the fact of having different floors or different areas of where you could have better conversations and better meetings. And that might include audio-visual equipment in those rooms that cancel out the noise. That technology does exist. If anyone wants to talk about that, happy to talk about that after as well. That includes giving each of your employees an area and then outlining where they can go for those activities, right? I think our keynote, they explain creating a knowledge base. It's good to put in the knowledge base where you can work based on what you need to do, right? So let's say I need to come into the office, I need to focus, where do I go? I need to come into the office, I need some background noise because that's how I thrive. I thrive with background noise, I thrive with energy, I thrive with people. Or I want where I can have access to the cheapest or free water and free coffee, because that's why I went to Accenture offices all the time, is free coffee and free water. It was the greatest. And then allowing employees to work anywhere they want, right? That's the goal of why we're all here, is figuring out people how to do that. Question? Well,
Is that okay? Can I ask?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm no more than happy.
Doesn't it become a different problem if you are 100% remote? So doesn't it become the knowledge worker has the answers? Feels to me like it becomes an issue of agency if you say here are the or the four things you are expected to do. They can decide what in their environment, where in their environment they should work.
Right.
Like, are you saying that the company should say, oh, you shouldn't work in the kitchen, or you shouldn't work here, or you?
So you shouldn't say it directly, but you could say, if you want to focus, go here. If you want noise, if you want to meet people, or if your agenda is coming into the office, is interacting with people, then come here. So that's the idea. But if you're 100% remote, then you're providing some guidance on how to enable that in your home office. So for example, I have a headset, and the headset turns red when I'm on a call and green when I'm not in a call. So when my wife peeks her head into the office and tries to figure out if she can interrupt me, she looks at my headset. And we've made we have like these marriage meetings every week just to go over, like positives and cons of how we are in the marriage. And, we figure out how to get better in our marriage. It's something new that everyone should try it. But either way, when it comes to our marriage and our success in our marriage, I think having a rule of, if my headset is red, don't interrupt me. If my headset is green, feel free to tell me what you want, right? So adding those rules, but also providing technology to enable those functions will help them whether they're in the office or out of the office. So for example, the same headset can be used in the office, right? How many times have people been in the office and someone just comes by you while you're in a meeting and starts interrupting you, right? You're like, hey, Jim, I need this, I need that. So if you have a headset or a solution, I've seen solutions where you have these little lights that pop onto your laptop that shows if you're available or not. I think they're called Embreva makes them, but you plug it into your laptop and it turns red when you're not available, it turns green. So those are all functionalities that you can utilize to reduce interruptions in the workplace. And then professional headsets are good for more than just calls. So if we think about it, what I do is I use headsets to listen to music because that's a function of a headset, and I use headsets to help me concentrate. So since I traveled a lot on the airplane, I hated the buzz of the engine. And every time I try to read a book, I can't concentrate because of the buzz of the engine. My brain is just, here's the buzz. So one of the headsets that we have is an in-ear headset where you can actually play ocean wave sounds, and I feel like I'm back on a beach, which I can't afford right now because I got a 2-year-old. But the idea is you turn that on, and now you can focus and help you concentrate, right? So if you go into the office and you have a headset that you can cancel out the noise, which is one of the technologies, is active noise cancellation, you can now focus in a loud area, right? You go into an area, let's say your company doesn't have a quiet space, or you're working in a coffee shop, or you're working in an airport, you no longer have a quiet space. You can enable the noise canceling headset. You can be listening to music, but at the same time, you can use it to make the calls as well. So, what are your benefits when wearing headsets? So obviously, I had to throw in headsets because I work for Jabra, right, guys? Like, I'm not gonna just talk about survey. I got to talk about our product a little. But the idea is benefits of wearing headsets for work is improves concentrations, increases productivity, and helps ease your stress, right? And it's one of the easiest things you could do. One of the things I pitched to my sales team last year was don't find the IT admins, go find the HR people. And why is that? Because if you talk to the HR people, they're always trying to figure out how do we help our employees be better, right? So one of the things that I always push is provide a laptop to your new hire, provide a noise canceling headset to your new hire, and provide a webcam that they can travel with for a new hire. And it's the easiest thing you could do, right? And now you could say, hey, this headset is actually for your well-being and to reduce your stress. So let's spend some time learning how to use it. This is a standard in our office. This is how we work here is you can use it daily, you could use it at work. But you could see from the research that having a headset helps you be more productive and reduces your stress. So to round it all out is to boost employee well-being. It's a matter one to listening to your employees' needs. The office space is part of the conversations, workplace flexibility, but also figuring out what place of that flexibility that you need to now insert yourself in, and figuring out what technologies I need to reduce their stress and increase their well-being. So obviously, at the running remote workplace, having a remote job is perfect for their well-being. But the idea is adding another layer with professional audio technology allows them. Now, what you're probably wondering, what the hell is a professional audio technology, right? Everyone's probably wondering that, like what's professional? So if you buy a consumer headset from Best Buy, you get a Beats headset. The Beats headset in itself, technology-wise, the mics are underneath the cup. And when it comes to audio viability, the closer the mic is to your mouth, the more clear and eligible you are. So having a consumer headset doesn't enable you to be productive or professional. It's like if I was a carpenter and I bought a very cheap carpentry tool to be a very good carpenter, right? So when it comes to technology and headsets, they all differ. So buying a professional headset versus a consumer headset allows a person or individual to be better. The other idea is that with a professional headset, you have additional functions and features, and it works with the platform that you are mostly on all day, whether it be Microsoft Teams, whether it's Zoom, whether it's Google. The idea is I can be listening to music, I get a call come in, and then the call goes right to my headset without me futzing around with it. Now, I mentioned my dad earlier on. So my dad is one of the worst technology-driven people. He's a 67-year-old Indian man. So I'm his personal tech support agent. I gave him a headset, and he was able to just Bluetooth into it and figure that out by himself. So the idea that you have to teach your employees how to use a headset is not a daunting task. But think of this. The ROI of buying a professional headset and having your employees' well-being go up and their stress go down is much better than not providing them a headset and having them all have additional stress in that workplace. So that's pretty much the gist of what I think everyone should think about. You should think about how are you enabling your employees so you reduce the stress in workplace when it comes to audio and noise. Now, if we think about audio and noise, it's a factor that not everyone thinks about. So this is something that's very passionate in my mind. As I get older, the more I realize that I hate noise, the more I realize I want to be in environments with good audio capabilities. So for example, if I'm going to, so when I was younger, I used to go to Coachella and all these music festivals, and I used to be that guy in the front, just, raving with everybody and the audio just blasting in my ear. These days, I can barely sit in a room where the audio is so loud. So if we think about our employees and as they get older, you're also figuring out a way how to, in an age group wise, help them with their audio and their hearing. Because if you go to Jabra.com, our GN, we also have a hearing aid company. There's very crazy statistics on how many people start losing their hearing while they're in their 30s. You don't know you're losing your hearing until you take that test and then you put in a hearing aid. You're like, this is what the world sounds like? So help your employees reduce stress. Help your employees with their well-being by providing audio technology, but also providing them ways where they can get away from the noise. Questions?
Yeah, does anyone have a question for Shra?
Man, I'm sweating bullets out here. I'm from New Jersey, and this Austin weather is killing me.
No questions?
But I'm at the Jabra booth, so happy to talk about headsets. Now, when it comes to headsets, you might be thinking, why do you talk so much about headsets? There's a whole line of different headsets based on how you work. And we've spent a lot of technology and a lot of R&D in Denmark on every single piece of the headset. So my focus is you don't have to buy a Jabra headset. Just think about buying a professional headset so that you could do better in your professional life working remotely, hybrid, or in the office.